You are sitting on a pile of retirement income, a 401k, Social Security, and maybe a pension. And you are about to make a decision that quietly costs you tens of thousands of dollars. The wrong claiming order can trigger a tax trap that turns a $20,000 withdrawal into a $37,000 tax bill. So 401k versus Social Security versus pension. Which should you claim first? The short answer is almost always your pension first, then your 401k, and Social Security last. But the real answer depends on three things that most people never think about, and getting them wrong is what costs you. Let us start with why that order works, and then we will dig into the exceptions that matter for you. Think of your retirement income as three separate paychecks, each with completely different rules. Your pension is the simplest. It is a fixed monthly payment that usually starts the day you retire, and you cannot delay it. Your 401k is the most flexible. You decide how much to pull out and when, but the government forces you to start taking minimum amounts at age 73. A Social Security is the one you can actually choose to delay, and every year you wait up to age 70 adds about 8% to your monthly check. The natural instinct is to take whatever is easiest first. That usually means claiming Social Security as soon as you retire, because it feels like free money. But that is exactly the trap. Here is what happens when you claim Social Security first. Let us say you retire at 62, start collecting around $1,500 a month from Social Security, and you also have a $2,000 monthly pension and a 401k with $400,000 in it. On paper, you have plenty of income. But because you claimed Social Security early, you locked in a permanently reduced benefit, about 30% less than what you would get at full retirement age. That means you are leaving roughly $500 a month on the table for the rest of your life. Over a 20-year retirement, that is $120,000 gone. But worse, by taking Social Security first, you are also triggering the Social Security tax torpedo. This is the part nobody tells you. The government taxes your Social Security benefits based on something called Provisional Income, which is basically your adjusted gross income plus half of your Social Security plus any tax-free interest. If you are pulling from your 401k and your pension at the same time as Social Security, your provisional income can push a huge chunk of your benefits into being taxable. For a single person, once your provisional income hits $25,000, up to 50% of your Social Security becomes taxable. At $34,000, up to 85% becomes taxable. For a married couple filing jointly, those thresholds are between $32,000 and $44,000. And here is the kicker. Those numbers have not been adjusted for inflation in decades, so every year, more and more retirees get hit by this tax. Let me show you how this plays out with real numbers. Imagine you are married, filing jointly. You have a $2,000 monthly pension, which is $24,000 a year. You decide to take $20,000 from your 401k to cover some extra expenses. And you also claim Social Security at 62, getting about $18,000 a year. Your provisional income is your pension, $24,000, plus your 401k withdrawal, $20,000, plus half your Social Security, $9,000. That is $53,000. That is well above the $44,000 threshold for married couples, so 85% of your Social Security becomes taxable. That means $15,300 of your $18,000 benefit is now added to your taxable income. Your total taxable income is now $24,000 plus $20,000 plus $15,300, $59,300. You are paying income tax on money that should have been tax-free. Now compare that to the smart order. You take your pension first. That is fixed. You cannot change it. Then instead of touching Social Security, you pull from your 401k to cover your expenses, and you delay Social Security until age 70. By doing that, your Social Security benefit grows by about 8% per year, so that $18,000 at 62 becomes roughly $31,000 at 70. And because you are not collecting Social Security yet, your provisional income is much lower, your pension is $24,000, your 401k withdrawal is maybe $25,000, that is $49,000 in provisional income, no Social Security to tax, so your actual taxable income is just the $49,000. You are in a lower tax bracket, you pay less tax, and your Social Security benefit is permanently higher. So the rule of thumb is clear: pension first, then 401k, then Social Security last. But there are three big exceptions that change everything. Exception number one, you have a pension that offers a lump sum option. Some pensions let you take a one-time payment instead of monthly checks for life. If you take the lump sum, you can roll it into an IRA, which gives you more control, but that also means you lose the guaranteed income. If you take the lump sum, your claiming order shifts. Now you have a 401k and a rollover IRA and Social Security. In that case, you still want to delay Social Security and live off your retirement accounts first. But you have to be more careful about how much you withdraw, because you are spending down a finite pool of money. Exception number 2, your health or family history suggests you might not live past your mid-70s. Delaying Social Security only pays off if you live long enough to collect the higher benefits. The break-even point is usually around age 80 to 82. If you claim at 62 instead of 70, you get smaller checks, but you get them for 8 extra years. If you pass away at 75, you actually come out ahead by claiming early. So if you have a serious health condition or a family history of shorter lifespans, claiming Social Security first might make sense for you. Exception number 3, you are single and have a smaller 401k. Single filers have lower tax brackets than married couples, so the tax torpedo hits them harder and sooner. If you are single and your only retirement income is a small pension and a modest 401k, delaying Social Security might push you into a situation where you are forced to take large 401k withdrawals later, and those withdrawals could push you into a higher tax bracket. In that case, it might be better to claim Social Security earlier and use the money to cover expenses, keeping your 401k withdrawals smaller and in a lower tax bracket. Now let's talk about the £800 gorilla in the room, required minimum distributions, or RMDs. Starting at age 73, the government forces you to start withdrawing from your 401k and traditional IRA. The amount is based on your account balance and your life expectancy. And here's the problem. If you delay Social Security until 70 and spend down your 401k, in the meantime, your RMDs will be smaller because your account balance is lower. But if you claim Social Security early and left your 401k untouched, your RMDs at 73 could be huge, and that could push you into a much higher tax bracket. For example, say you have $500,000 in your 401k at age 73. Your first RMD is about $18,900. Add that to your pension and Social Security, and you could easily be in the 22% or 24% tax bracket. But if you had spent down that 401k to $300,000 by age 73, your RMD would be about $11,300, and you might stay in the 12% bracket. That is a massive difference in taxes over the course of your retirement. And there is another layer, IRMAA, the Medicare surcharge for higher earners. If your income pushes you above certain thresholds, your Medicare Part B and Part D premiums go up. For a single person, once your modified adjusted gross income hits around $97,000, your Part B premium jumps from about $185 a month to around $260. At $123,000, it jumps to about $370. So a big RMD year can trigger these surcharges for 2 years because Medicare looks at your tax return from 2 years ago. So the strategy is clear. Use your 401k early in retirement before Social Security kicks in to keep your income low and avoid the tax torpedo. Then claim Social Security at 70 for the maximum benefit. And if you have a pension, take it when it starts. You usually cannot delay it. But what if you do not have a pension? That is actually the simplest scenario. You have a 401k and Social Security. The optimal order is still to live off your 401k first and delay Social Security. Without a pension, your income is more controllable, so you can be even more strategic. You can withdraw just enough from your 401k to cover your expenses, keeping your taxable income low and let your Social Security grow. What if you are married? The strategy gets more nuanced. If you are the higher earner, you want to delay your Social Security as long as possible because your benefit determines the survivor benefit for your spouse. If you claim early and then pass away, your surviving spouse gets your reduced benefit instead of the full amount. So for married couples, the higher earner should almost always delay to 70, while the lower earner might claim earlier to provide some income in the meantime. And what about leaving an inheritance? If you want to leave money to your kids, you might be tempted to spend down your 401k first and preserve your Social Security. But remember, Social Security dies with you. Your kids do not inherit it. Your 401k and any other retirement accounts can be passed down. So if leaving an inheritance is important, you might actually want to delay your 401k withdrawals and claim Social Security earlier, preserving your 401k for your heirs. But that means accepting lower Social Security benefits and potentially higher taxes. It is a trade-off. There is one more tool in your toolbox, Roth conversions. If you have a traditional 401k or IRA, you can convert some of that money into a Roth account before you start Social Security. You pay taxes on the converted amount now, but then the money goes tax-free and you never pay taxes on withdrawals. This is powerful because it reduces your future RMDs and keeps your income lower when Social Security kicks in. The best time to do Roth conversions is in the years between when you retire and when you claim Social Security, because your income is lower, so you pay less tax on the conversion. So let's put it all together into a simple decision tree. Step 1, do you have a pension? If yes, take it when it starts. You usually cannot delay it. Step 2, do you have a 401k or IRA? If yes, plan to use that money first, from retirement until age 70, keeping your withdrawals low enough to stay in the 10% or 12% tax bracket. Step 3, delay Social Security until age 70 if you are in good health and expect to live past 80. Step 4, if you are married, the higher earner delays to 70 and the lower earner can claim earlier. Step 5, if leaving an inheritance is a priority, consider claiming Social Security earlier and preserving your retirement accounts. Step 6, use the gap years before Social Security to do Roth conversions, filling up the lower tax brackets. And if you are single with no pension, the same basic order applies. 401k first, Social Security last, but be extra careful about the tax torpedo because single filers hit those thresholds much faster. The bottom line is this: the order you claim your retirement income is just as important as how much you save. Claiming Social Security first feels safe, but it quietly costs you tens of thousands in lost benefits and higher taxes. Pension first, then 401k, then Social Security last. That is the winning sequence for most people. But your health, your marital status, and your inheritance goals can flip that order. Run your own numbers or talk to a fee-only financial planner who specializes in retirement income, because the wrong move here costs you more than you think. There is another layer most people miss entirely: the state you live in. 9 states have no income tax at all, and several others do not tax retirement income. But a handful of states, like California, Oregon, and Minnesota, tax Social Security benefits on top of what the federal government already takes. If you live in one of those states, the tax torpedo gets even worse. Your provisional income calculation stays the same, but now you are paying state income tax on that same money. That can push your effective tax rate on a 401k withdrawal from 22% to over 30% in some cases. So if you're in a high tax state, the incentive to delay Social Security and spend down your 401k first is even stronger, because you want to keep your total income low while you still can. But if you plan to move to a no tax state in retirement, the math shifts. You might be better off taking larger 401k withdrawals while you still live in the high tax state, then claiming Social Security after you move, so your benefits are taxed at 0% at the state level. It is a geographic chess move that most retirees never consider. Now let us talk about the pension that gives you a choice between the single life payout and a joint and survivor option. This is a huge decision that interacts directly with your claiming order. If you choose the single life option, you get the maximum monthly check, but when you die, the payments stop. Your spouse gets nothing. If you choose the joint and survivor option, your check is smaller, usually 10% to 20% less, but your spouse continues to receive a portion of it after you pass away. Here is how that changes your claiming strategy. If you take the single life pension, you have more monthly income up front, which means you can afford to delay Social Security more easily. But your spouse loses that income when you die, so they become more dependent on your Social Security survivor benefit. That makes delaying your Social Security even more critical, because the survivor benefit is based on your full retirement age or delayed benefit. If you take the joint and survivor pension, your monthly income is lower, so you might need to claim Social Security earlier just to make ends meet. But your spouse is protected if you die first, so the pension choice and the Social Security claiming decision are not separate. They are two sides of the same coin. Another factor that rarely gets discussed is the impact of inflation. Your 401k is invested in the market, so it has the potential to grow with inflation over time. Your pension is usually fixed. It pays the same amount every month for life, with maybe a small cost of living adjustment if you're lucky. Social Security has a built-in cost of living adjustment that rises with inflation every year. So if you claim Social Security early, you lock in a lower base that gets smaller inflation adjustments. If you delay, you get a higher base that grows from a larger number. Over a 20 or 30-year retirement, that difference compounds significantly. In a high inflation environment, delaying Social Security is essentially buying an inflation-protected income stream that you cannot get anywhere else. That is a powerful argument for claiming it last. And here is something nobody talks about. the psychological side of the decision. Many retirees are terrified of running out of money, so they claim Social Security early because it feels like a safety net. But that fear actually makes the problem worse. By claiming early, you reduce your guaranteed lifetime income, which is the very thing that protects you from running out of money. The safest financial move is usually to maximize your guaranteed income, Social Security and pension, and use your 401k as the flexible buffer. That means delaying Social Security to 70, even if it feels uncomfortable in the short term. The people who regret their claiming decision almost always regret claiming too early, not too late. One more nuance. If you are still working part-time in retirement, that changes everything. If you claim Social Security before your full retirement age and you earn more than about $22,000 a year from work, the government withholds $1 of benefits for every $2 you earn over that limit. That is a 50% effective tax rate on your earnings. Quick recap, know what problem you are solving, compare the real monthly cost, check the fees, watch the trade-offs, and only choose the option that still works if life gets messy. If this helped, subscribe for more plain English money explainers.